Wealth, fame, power. Manga Alert had attained this and everything else the world had to offer. And our podcast sent countless men to the sea. We are truly in the great pirate era, ladies and gentlemen.
Come aboard and bring along all your hopes and dreams.
Welcome
Together
to
we
yeah,
find
okay,
everything
shut up, we get it.
Looking for.
Welcome to Manga Alert Season 7, everyone. That was not our theme song. Mother of God. Here's our theme song.
I think back to the time when my search first began. I left behind those shores of sand for the endless, everlasting world out there. I know that with this burning passion driving me, someday, somewhere, I'll finally see the light I had searched for every.
Okay, guys, we're back. How was it? How was the summer without us? Is everyone okay?
Yeah, I bet everybody had a wonderful summer. I finally came back and I finally got internet for the first time in 3 months. Since you last heard from us.
Shrug kept using this as an excuse to not watch High School Musical.
That is true. It is really hard. I actually had to think in my head the actual plot of High School Musical, the series, season 4 in my head. But now I'm gonna be able to watch it. It's gonna be great.
Fair enough.
Nice.
Buzz, how was your summer?
It was pretty good.
Yeah, all right. Sound.
Pretty much just drew a lot and watched a lot of anime while drawing. That's been my life.
Now here's the thing, guys. I've read almost no manga over the summer, which is not very good when you run a manga podcast. But thankfully, we have something else to talk about today. We just got graced a few days ago with the One Piece live-action show from Netflix. This is something that was announced 6 years ago. Many of us never thought it would actually happen, but sure enough, it has happened, and we have all seen each of the 8 episodes. Now, you see, we were actually, until like literally an hour ago, we were supposed to be joined by Apollo and Shaman, but unfortunately, tragedy has struck both of them. You see, Shaman, who hails from Nevada, was at Burning Man the other day, and he was, well, to put it lightly, he was swept out to sea. So, I guess he's off living his One Piece adventures now. We haven't really heard from him since.
He is off to become King of the Pirates.
Yeah, so wishing him the best. Anyway, and as for Apollo, well, what do you think? He's dead. He's dead. Yeah.
He's not coming back. This is not a bit, guys.
Yeah.
Apollo is actually dead.
Yeah, we literally got the message like an hour ago from Apollo's sister who went on his account, and we were like, you know what? It would be in good taste to cancel, but we, I think Apollo would want us to continue on in his memory.
So we're gonna have a moment of silence filled with really sad One Piece instrumental music in honor of him. I think he would want it this way. Do you agree, guys?
No. We also asked Based if he wanted to be on this podcast, and he obviously, I think all listeners know what he thinks of One Piece, so that wasn't happening. All right, guys. One Piece. Now, before we get...
So, Emily Rod, am I right? Yo.
Let's... Mother. I lost my train of thought. What were we talking about?
One Piece. That's the only reason we're here.
Yes, you're right. All right, before we get started, I kind of just want to talk about, like, the build-up to this thing. Like, I was, okay, spoilers, everyone. The show is actually good. Like... But, like, for the longest time, I was under the impression that it was going to be a disaster. Nothing really changed my mind, even after, like, we were seeing a lot of the footage and the trailers and stuff. I was still like, well, this will be bad. Because I'm thinking to myself, like, One Piece won't work in live action. Are they insane?
See, I was pulling for it all along. I was really hoping it would be good, and you guys clowned.
Well,
on
okay,
me.
listen. I like leading up to it. Like I saw, okay, it does look like the casting was pretty good, and like it does look like they put a lot of effort into the sets and stuff. But I'm still just thinking to myself, I'm like, One Piece is too cracked. It's too goofy. It's too insane. It was made to be a cartoon. You can't do it.
This goes into a whole bit of like why live action stuff should remain, not like we should not keep making live action adaptations of animated properties. Like that is not like a hot take.
Right.
And all,
yeah, but money though. I mean, come on.
Well, the thing is too is that a year ago when Cowboy Bebop came out, and that it was all like that seems like it would translate actually well because it's not super technical. Like Bebop is not a very complicated, like it is a very complex story, but it's also like not anything outside of like Spike Spiegel does not do anything crazy that would require it.
Sure.
That seems like it could translate well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So like the thought, because up until like 4 or 5 months ago, we hadn't seen even any of the cast. We had no idea who these people were. And then they just all of a sudden dropped this trailer. And the first trailer, admittedly, I was like, this is silly, goofy. I'm probably not going to like it. And then the second trailer hit, and I went, okay, hold on.
That second trailer was good.
The second trailer, I was like, okay, maybe they're onto something here.
I was always skeptical because once we started to see, I'm like, okay, they're at least like following the story. Like this seems like a faithful adaptation, but I just still was not convinced that it would work because of the different medium, right?
It's also just like One Piece is, and a lot of people like this is a lot like a valid criticism of One Piece from a lot of people is that it's silly, it's goofy, and it's like yeah, that's fair. Even like the anime is like completely different than like your typical like Naruto and Bleach.
Yeah,
like they're just like it's just really cartoony, and it's like that is really fair, and so that's why it should not have worked. But again, spoilers for anybody that's actually just here to get our opinion. It's not bad. No, like it's actually like it was fun. Like it was good.
So how about we just like go through the show and sort of discuss the events of it. Now we're not going to be going into heavy manga spoilers other than like some of the events were like foreshadowing things that happen later. We might talk about arc names and stuff. But if you're not caught up to One Piece, you'll be fine here. You're good. Like Buzz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if you're in early One Piece, there's like one thing that I would discuss that's like further on down the line, but even then it's like pre-time skip.
Yeah. So this series, so basically this whole season covers East Blue more or less, which is the first like saga of the manga, about like 10 volumes or so. So it starts off with Luffy. Well, it starts off, of course, with Gold Roger's execution.
Gold Roger, King of the Pirates.
Right off the bat, like I noticed in this scene, like the production value was kind of crazy. Like this whole show, it's not like the best looking show you'll ever watch. Like I think stuff like Game of Thrones and the like have really spoiled people when it comes to like CGI in shows. But like when I just saw the scope of Logtown, I'm just like, okay. All right. It seems like they're...
Yeah, like that crowd.
Yeah.
It didn't even look like a CGI crowd, I don't think, but it was like...
And just like the whole town... I mean, like you could tell it wasn't like all real, but it was still like, I'm like, hey, this is good looking. They sort of nailed it here. And so, of course, Gold Roger is like speaking out over the crowd, and we see like a young Mihawk. We see a young Shanks who looked pretty goofy. And then we see Crocodile, question mark?
Mommy?
Dude, bro, that goes into something else.
Man,
but, sure.
If they bring back, like, if in season 2 Crocodile is like a dude, oh man, it's confirmed. Anyway, that was.
Oh.
Anyway, so yeah, and they kill him. I saw Smitty complaining that they didn't cut his head off, but I'm like, whatever. They still killed him. Honestly, though, I think being like stabbed through the spine is a tad bit worse than getting your head cut off. Like Jesus.
Yeah, you just kind of feel it.
I also actually liked it because he could still just like laugh while he was dying. So I thought that was I thought that was a nice change.
I just think that one thing that stuck out to me was like Gold Roger's jacket. Like it had like his insignia on it, and like it had like the like the skull with like the long mustache. Like a lot of the emblems and stuff that they translate from the show, and that they literally just like place them around like the live action version. It really does kind of stick out like a sore thumb. Like it's cool, but I'm like I don't know. I'm just sitting there like
the
that's
felt
just funny.
emblems and stuff.
I
It's
mean,
like,
like I think we can just get one of my criticisms out of the way first, and it's not like one I really blame them for, but like I think when it came to translating some of the character designs into live action, like it still didn't really work well. Like I thought, like okay, getting ahead of myself, I love Shanks in the show, but his goofy ass wig was just really silly. Like there are a lot of things they nail, but then they just, when it comes to being like, they try to be as faithful as they can, but some things just really don't work as well in live action, and you can't really get around it.
And I mean, after Logtown, it starts off with like Luffy being in, like how it does in the manga. Like he starts on the barrel, and then he ends up on Alvida's ship and things like that.
Yeah, this part was super faithful, and it was this part that made me realize, I'm like, oh god, this show is actually good, and I absolutely love the guy playing Luffy. Like, oh, holy crap.
He did such a good job.
I'm just like, he captures Luffy's energy so well, and just like his line delivery, just like how oblivious he sounds and just how optimistic he is. It was both extremely funny, like whenever people would be like, Luffy, you're gonna get killed, we can't do this, and we're not a part of a crew, and he just gives them this like whimsical smirk, and he's just like, yes we are. It's like, yes we can. I'm like, bro, love it.
I think he did great.
Yeah, he did so well. One thing that really, really sold me too is like just a few days before the show dropped, is that the Netflix made this little thing of where Inaki went to go meet Oda,
I saw that,
and then also got to meet like Mayumi Tanaka. And there's like this really sweet scene where Mayumi Tanaka goes and like puts the straw hat on Inaki's head, and she's like, you're Luffy now. And I'm like, dude.
And he was like holding back tears and stuff.
Aww. Honestly, like, man, that was so wholesome. And so I'm really, really happy to say that he did a really good job. Like, I mean, he really was like the highlight of the whole show.
Yeah, like the show is extremely like goofy and cheesy, just like the manga. But like he's one of the reasons it works so well, because like he's just so infectious and fun, right? And I think
I love him.
Now, one of the big things I was very skeptical about, though, was how they would handle his powers, because that's one of like the main reasons I would say One Piece wouldn't work very well in live action. But I gotta say, I think they handled the Gum Gum Fruit and pretty decently, honestly. Like,
it wasn't super bad with some of the CGI. Some of the CGI was pretty good.
Yeah, so I think with the Gum Gum powers, I think they were really smart in how they edited it. Like, it was oftentimes like very quick camera movements.
Yeah.
And I think that really hid a lot of like the limited CGI stuff. But I thought it worked well, and like overall, I thought the action in the show to be for the most part really well done, like better than I expected.
Yeah. Like they had a lot of wide open shots where they just showed what was going on. None of that like quick cut.
Yeah, there were a lot.
Of
there were a
TV
surprising
shows,
amount of long takes. I think this happened in, this might have been episode 1 or 2, but there was like a whole sequence with the Shanks pirates that was like all one take, and it was like really cool.
Yeah.
There was also like it was just choreographed well. Like,
yeah,
obviously,
exactly.
like some of the people like floating around was really funny.
Yeah.
But it's like it looked like I can think like in the first episode, like if we're just trying to keep to, like the first episode, when like Luffy and Nami and Zoro, it's not Zolo, it's Zoro in the show. In case you guys are wondering.
Yeah.
So when they're fighting like the Marines and they fight Morgan, it's like well choreographed.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like it's not like obviously some of it's like a little silly. It's like sometimes when Zoro's like swinging his swords around a block and stuff. Like at the beginning of the show, like later on, Zoro just starts like cutting people up, and it's freaking
his
metal.
intro,
He cut someone in half.
His introduction was sick. It was
okay.
It went so hard.
Okay, this is so cool. Also, like the attention to detail that they did. So Zoro's introduction in the show is he fights this like bounty hunter, and so Zoro's still a bounty hunter at this point, but he fights this guy named Mr. Seven. But in the manga, like they talk about how Zoro killed Mr. Seven in just like a passing conversation.
Yeah,
so I think that
and it's like
super
happens
funny.
later.
Yeah.
It's like something that they added to his backstory later. But now where the show has like 25 years of manga to pull from, they like know. It's like, hey, well, this happened with Zoro.
Yeah, it's like
right?
Oda forgot about a number from the Brokeworks guy, so he added it later, and then they put it in the show.
Also, dude, like, there's no way that this show does not get a second season, and like, cause they talk about Baroque Works so much.
I think we can talk about the future of the show later, but what I really liked, like I said, because they have like all of One Piece to look to, like I found this show really like it foreshadowed things a lot. It like they pulled in some elements from later in the manga, and I think it just felt like a very complete, coherent experience, especially like knowing what's happening later. Because like One Piece like is very good for that stuff in general, but it is very clear, like looking at the whole picture, that like at the start of the series, Oda had not planned certain things, right?
Like he probably did not think that this series is going to go on.
Like he probably didn't know what Wano was until like 10 years into the series, right? Like there's a lot of things that, you know, couldn't have been foreshadowed because they didn't exist in his head yet, but now they can be. So it already like makes the world feel like even bigger than it did at the start of the manga, which I really like. I also like, again, with like Zoro's introduction, I also really like how they really didn't hold back. Like the show is pretty violent. Like it really like they don't hold back much. Like it's not like overly gory. I don't think this would get an R rating, but I mean, like, you know, this is no 4Kids. Also, and while we're on the first episode, fucking Helmeppo, holy shit.
Helmeppo booty,
bro.
like, bruh.
Helmeppo might be the most perfect casting in the show.
Honestly, I would agree.
When the girl dropped her rice balls, and he just goes, "You stupid girl," and his mouth, I'm like, where did they find this guy? This guy is perfect.
Who let this guy in here?
He was so good that they show his ass, like his bare ass.
True.
Heck yeah.
That was insane. That was so insane. What the fuck? Zoro walks in and he just like covers his dick. He's like, "Oh, what?"
Dude, I was literally sitting there like, "There's no way that they just did that." Like, I mean, I was just in shock.
And I think that's a good segue into like probably the biggest change they made to this show was giving Kobe and Helmeppo like a much bigger spotlight. Because like, so in the manga, like they're in this introduction arc, and then we don't see them for like 30 more volumes.
Yeah, there's just like the cover stories, right?
Yeah.
There's like one panel of stories to show what's happening.
So basically, like, yeah. So after Kobe leaves, so like Kobe and Helmeppo, you see that the last time you see them, or like the first time that you really see them, is volume 1, and I think they leave in like at the end of volume 1. You do not see them until volume 45. And the only time that you do see them, truthfully, is again, you'll see them in like the little side stories that Oda does, like the beginning of every chapter.
Yeah.
And it's like Kobe and Helmeppo join the Marines, and then they join this like mysterious guy who's like masked, and then they train a lot.
Yeah.
And then in Volume 45, they have this like massive glow up.
Yeah.
But in the show, Kobe and Helmeppo are like the subplot.
Yeah, we're like seeing all the stuff that happened behind the scenes. Like we actually see how the two of them like sort of become friends by the end, which is something the manga just like immediately goes to, like, oh yeah, we're best pals now. And of course,
to be fair, I thought that was very out of left field in the manga.
How they just like disappear.
how they come back and they're just like friends and they're powerful. I was like, what the heck?
Yeah,
I thought they felt so forgotten about, and then they come back as like entirely different people. And I feel like the show is doing it a lot better.
Yeah, and it also, like, I think the way they, like, weaved their story in... Because basically, while the Straw Hats were going on, they're being chased by Garp, who, of course, is also not introduced until, like, Volume 45 or something. And so it's basically, like, him, and he's, like, mentoring Kobe, basically, and Helmeppo, and they're sort of, like, on Luffy and the Straw Hats' trail the whole time. So we keep cutting back to them. They, of course, they reveal, of course, Garp being Luffy's grandfather, which I think is, like, the one thing that if, like that's, like, a one major spoiler that's from much later in the manga. But I think the way they revealed it here worked really well, right?
Yeah, because it's really odd just because when it's also just a difference in, like, timing, just because Garp is a vice admiral, and my roommate was watching the last episode with me, and like where Garp and Luffy like speak to each other, and he was like, why did Luffy just like get his butt whooped? And I said, I don't think you realize that it's all like they don't meet Garp until like until Luffy has like 2 power-ups later. And I was like, and Luffy's like a lot stronger then, and I went, and he's like, Garp's like incredibly strong, and so it's crazy that they met at this point.
Yeah.
But then I'm sitting there thinking like, well, would it have been weird? But it's also even weirder because when they're at Baratie and like Nami and Usopp and Zoro just all like, hey man, were you just like not gonna tell us? And I'm like, why are they like later on in the show, or like when they first meet Garp in the manga, they're like not phased at all, and they kind of just play it off. And then in this one, they're just all like, why did you not tell us? I didn't really get why they were like upset.
Well, I mean, I think it had to do with, I mean, like the guy who was chasing them, who was like a vice admiral, the fact that it's like Luffy's grandfather, like, I mean, I can see why that would have been like important information to divulge, you know?
It was like a 1-episode subplot of them like feeling betrayed by Luffy.
I mean, yeah,
it's a little goofy, honestly.
Now, I think we should also just go through, like, of course, the main events of the manga, because after they say goodbye to Kobe and he like socks Helmeppo in the face, they go off and they meet Mr. Buggy. Well, they get kidnapped by Mr. Buggy, and guys, holy shit,
Buggy.
Oh my god. So
Buggy ate.
When I first saw Buggy in the trailer, I'm like, this is horrifying, get it away from me, what have they done? Turns out I was very wrong, because Buggy might give like the best and most memorable performance here.
Oh
Holy
my gosh.
shit.
Yeah.
Buggy was so good.
He served, man. Holy Jesus. Like
he was born for that role.
And also the way that they do, the way that they like meet Buggy is like all of them are like captured, and it's like, and Nami goes out and the whole village is destroyed. They cut out the entire plot with the doggy. Like, there's what?
Yeah, what the heck, dude? They got rid of the dog.
So here's the thing about this show. Obviously, it's not going to be adapting the entire thing, and I think if people were expecting that, they're like clinically insane, because that would be absolutely impossible.
I was a little salty they cut out the lion guy. He was like in the background of like 2 shots, and that's it.
Well, the thing is, like, I still do appreciate how they're still sort of like alluding to some of the stuff they're cutting. Like, I mean, the dog is still there. Like, the dog shows up and I was like, yo, it's the dog. Like, because to me that shows like they do at least want to pay homage to the things that they can't show.
Yeah.
So I did like that, and you know, I just think Buggy stole the show so much during that section that I was over the moon. It was crazy. And again, I think like his powers, the CGI was definitely iffy sometimes, but I think they pulled it off pretty well.
Chop cannon.
Yeah.
What?
The
Gosh.
the CGI when Luffy like breathed in to like block the cannonball, that looked pretty bad, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
When my roommate also asked me, he's all like, do they like say their finishing moves? Because I know that One Piece says that a lot. I said that's like the funny part is that like
say all good warriors yell their
they
finishing
do.
moves.
Yeah, they don't like. They honestly didn't do it that much, but I was like, but Luffy like stands out and does it, and it makes it like a lot funnier because he's like, because he's like, "Gamu gamu no bazooka," and then he like hits Buggy, and dude, like his hands are like twitching when he's like doing it, and I'm sitting there like, like,
yeah, oh man.
Luffy's talking to Zoro, and he's like, everyone calls out with the finishing move, and he's like, no, we don't. I thought that was funny, because like a lot of the other characters don't do it.
Yeah. And then, anyway, yeah, so then they move on to, well, they need a better ship, because the one they got is ass. I like the part where Zoro's like, Nami, your toilet's leaking.
That was such a Zoro moment, though.
Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, we mostly just talked about Luffy, but I think all the Straw Hats were pretty nailed it. Like, they were very close, I found, to the, like, spirit of the characters.
Yeah, like, and I 100%. Think that, like, obviously, well, all of them had to be, like, dialed back a little bit just to, like, be on live action, because I noticed that, like, Nami is a lot more, like, I don't know if dramatic is the right word, because, like, normally in the show, I feel like in the manga too, she would like kind of freak out and be like, hey, we don't need to do that. But this Nami felt a lot more serious.
Yeah,
they definitely dialed back on like the freakouts.
Yeah, and which honestly, I think that's why I was okay with it that much, is because I'm like, okay, kind of every single Straw Hat had like one thing dialed back a little bit, because like Usopp's not as obnoxious. Sanji's not like
we know
like,
about
he's not a creeper.
he's not a perv the entire time, which is great. And then but Zoro like never smiles, and like I don't know, that's like not super true, but I was like, I guess that like that's fine. I think I'm just like nitpicky because I really love East Blue, and I really love the original 5 and like the dynamic that they have. But I think that they took those 5 those 5 characters and took like their best characteristics, and they made them translate like pretty well.
For sure.
Like, onto live action.
I really loved Zoro in this show. I think Zoro was one of the spotlights throughout the whole thing for me.
It was so weird to not see him use like his 3 swords until like it was like absolutely necessary.
I think it's because honestly, putting a sword in your mouth just looks way goofier. Like it, like he puts the sword in his mouth and it just looks. I'm like, yeah, this does not go as hard in live action.
Which when we get to like towards like the talking about like the end of everything, I'll mention another thing about Zoro that is kind of like confusing to me, but everything with Buggy, like to bring it back to like the episode with Buggy, I thought that they did Buggy like really, really well, like for like his introduction in like that arc, when they were like at Orange Village or whatever it was. I think it's Orange Village.
Yeah.
Or something.
They need a new ship, so they go to Syrup Village where they meet Usopp, and we get his whole arc with Kuro and Kaya. And like this is probably one of like the more forgettable parts of the manga for me, but I thought they did a really good job here.
No, like for real.
Yeah, so the guy playing Kuro, while I do think like his gloves look a bit goofy in live action, Especially like his whole speeding powers. I mean, I still thought
that looks pretty goofy.
yeah,
not gonna lie.
I still thought that guy like knocked it out of the park. Like he was really like sinister and
he
creepy.
really he nailed that creepy smile.
Yeah,
Crow does.
for sure. And of course, Usopp got some in the end. Let's go.
Dude,
Oh, yeah.
that's not canon to the manga.
Well, the reason it couldn't happen in the manga is because his
Yeah,
nose
dude.
was too long. It would have smacked into her eye.
You know who was a really good character adaptation in this show? Django. Let's go.
Oh,
Wait, they didn't even put him in though.
Yeah, that's.
I don't even remember who that
didn't.
is.
Django,
Yeah.
Gear, like the hypnotist guy.
Oh, yeah. Well, I can't remember every side character's name. Jeez, give me a break.
Bruh.
One thing that is really cool though is that I think that they had to take liberties and like, you know, they had to change it, but like this made much more sense. Like especially when I don't know, like I do like Syrup Village and like kind of how they have like the battle on the hill. But just for like everything was kind of like all condensed together. I was like, "Ah, that's cool." Cuz like we don't hardly even get to see at the mansion at all.
Yeah.
And then they stay in there and have the entire fight and I'm like, "Oh, that's like really cool because like Nami and Usopp trying to make sure that Kaio's okay." Like I was like, that is really cool because you don't even get to see any of the Usopp pirates. They're not even there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're- they
like
could have-
like Pepper and Carrot and them.
Yeah, pepper and carrot and onion.
The
You don't get to
first
see
the
them.
first Carrot.
Yeah, we didn't even get any. We didn't get 3 episodes straight of Zoro slipping down the oily slope in this one. What the heck?
They also, this was the craziest thing to me. They actually like kill Mary. Like Mary's is dead.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
They just throw him at the bottom of
Based.
the well, and it's like Mary was the one that was like, "Oh, I'll get the ship for you guys," and like named it. But you know, I wasn't super attached to him like I was in
I
the
don't think-
show.
yeah.
Like I don't know, he just like kind of seemed like a dude who just kind of showed up there randomly, and he's like, he's just a casualty.
So with that, I guess then we go into Baratier, and
Let's go.
I have to say, like the sets in this show are fucking amazing. Like,
Baratier was my favorite set.
bro, like they nailed it. It's insane. Like it's
So good.
It was like the main stairway from the Titanic. Like it was that kind of look going.
Yeah.
It was great.
Oh, and I have to say, I think this might have been my favorite part in the show, which happens around here. So Garp calls Mihawk for a favor.
Oh, the Mihawk scene. I love that
Holy
part.
shit. That was
Dude, Netflix went insane style.
he was just like sending people flying.
Just like blowing
he cuts
people
a
away,
ship
dude.
in half, right? Now, of course, like something people might take an issue with, so they did basically cut out like Don Krieg's entire conflict because
Yes.
Yeah.
like his pirates are the one that Mihawk is fighting here. And he like kills Don Krieg. Now, the thing is, like, I kind of, while I'm like, yeah, okay, we could have seen that in live action, like, I do like, if they are going to cut stuff, I still do like how they are still at least, like, paying homage to certain things. Like, I mean, they still had him here. They had all his goofy minions in the background, you know? And I think they used it in, like, a really cool way, introducing Mihawk. So I wasn't too bummed out about it, because, like, I accepted that some things will have to be changed and cut, but yeah, I thought it was used well, you know?
Yeah.
I have to agree, mostly just because I think that Don Krieg is probably the most forgettable villain.
Well, that's
in
another thing, too. I don't...
Yeah. His fight was pretty lame.
I think also
with Luffy in the anime.
Yeah, I think that for the most part, Don Krieg is super forgettable. And he's not really a super like strong guy. He's like, I have the pirate armada, and we were scared of the Grand Line. Blah, blah, blah. But for the most part, like I think that like doing a scene like that was kind of cool because you realize that Don Krieg is like really powerful, and then Mihawk just kind of killed him instantly. And so I guess it was good that they like wrote that him that way, just because you're like, oh, dude, Mihawk's so strong. Because like even if you know Don Krieg and you're like, oh man, Mihawk just like absolutely wiped the floor with him, they're like, that was a good way to like set him up. Which you knew that Mihawk was strong if you watched the show, but it was just really crazy that like one of the main villains of the entire arc just got like wiped out in a side scene, and he was literally on screen for like 20 seconds.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, I'm also
Oh, also
I'm
there
also
were
cool with it.
there was a Wilhelm scream when he cut the boat in half.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I love
Made
that.
it even better. But then of course Mihawk shows up, and we do get his duel with Zoro, and it was pretty boss. Not gonna lie, it was pretty epic.
yeah,
They
it
did
was pretty cool.
like I don't
It
think
was pretty faithful.
Yeah, I don't think it like hit as hard as like some of the manga panels, but it was about as good as you could get. So
The most emotion
Nice.
that Zoro shows for the entire show.
yeah, and we do Zeph's like rather gruesome backstory where he eats his leg. Like I obviously remembered
Yeah.
that, but it kind of hit me again. I'm just like, that is like one of the most fucked up things.
Dude, like,
Yeah.
Sanji's backstory, like, I mean, Sanji's entire backstory, especially like when with Zeph, is just so like messed
Yeah.
up. Oh my gosh.
There was one particular difference, and I can't remember if this was that way in the manga, but in the anime, so for the anime part of this, Zeph gets his leg broken because like a chain wraps around his leg when the ship capsizes, and his leg is already broken when he's on the land. And in the show, he like breaks his own leg by like kicking his shin
yeah,
against the
that's-
rock. It's
that's
like,
an-
oh,
that was
No.
nasty, man.
No,
Oof.
and in the manga, he literally just like looks. He's all, I'm just gonna go hungry, so he just slams a rock on it. And the anime,
Yeah.
it is different. So I think like
Oh, they did?
So, yeah, so it stays more
Oh,
accurate to the
interesting.
manga than the anime.
That's true, I guess.
Oh yeah, nuts.
Which, dude, that's so metal. I think that's so
Yeah.
cool.
Oh yeah, it was sick.
Yeah.
And I love their relationship because like they acted like they hated each other, but you knew like deep down. So like when Sanji left and they had their goodbye, I was like, aw.
So I wonder, was that just like censored in the anime then?
What?
You think?
Oh,
Was it like
yeah,
censored in the
definitely.
anime? Like it
Because
been too hard.
Well, because I think that like, yeah, there's a lot of different like censorship from the manga to the anime, but that's like a whole other like thing.
Not in this because they let Zoro say fuck. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
They also let Buggy flip him off.
So, oh man. So yeah, I guess that brings us into Arlong Park. Now, throughout the whole show, they've been teasing that. Well, they had been teasing Arlong, and they had been teasing Nami's connection with him. So of course that whole thing happens where like Nami seemingly betrays them, goes off. Oh yeah, because Arlong shows up at Baratier, in a pretty wacky scene.
Yeah.
I did like how they were like connecting it a bit more. Like again, it made the whole story like for the season just feel a bit more coherent. Like it's not like it didn't feel like you were watching like big story arcs like in the manga. It felt more just like one continuous story for the season, which I like.
It was interesting that they definitely like played up the like fishman racism part. I feel like at least compared to the anime, which I watched recently, I feel like that like wasn't even a thing in the anime.
Well, it's definitely something they get into much later, like significantly so. So I think that was again another instance of them just like, hey, this is a big element of the manga later on. It makes sense to introduce it here, where the fishmen are like slaves and
okay.
stuff. Because again, yeah, that's like a big thing later on. But yeah, and now I was like the fishmen. I thought looked pretty good in terms of makeup. Like, I mean, yeah.
Yeah,
When I first
they did a pretty decent job.
when I first saw Arlong, I was like, I don't know, but like the more I watched it, I'm like, okay. I mean,
Dude,
Yeah.
what is crazy to me, one cut that they made, they completely cut out Hachi. What? Like, that was one of the, like, not that he's, like, super, I mean, he's important later on, but, like, they cut out Hachi.
Oh yeah, the heck.
yeah, they just didn't want to animate those arms.
I guess, but like,
I mean, he
like,
was largely comic relief, anyways, right?
yeah, but
So-
like he fought Zoro, and like, I think that it was important that like Sanji had his fight, but then Sanji and Zoro fought, like I think his name is Karubi, and then Usopp had his win, which was good, which like that I'm glad they kept that in because
Yeah, I liked that
but
part.
like, I feel like that, like Zoro was needing his sword fight because after getting wounded so bad, that was like a big deal because he was constantly like hurt, and so you're like, oh, that's so cool. So I'm bummed that they cut Hachi out. I also like it, I don't know. Hachi is like again a big deal later on, like especially like when they get to Sabaody, and so that's just it was a weird character to cut out. I think.
Sure. Yeah.
Which, like, not to say that they're gonna make it all the way to Sabaody. I mean, that's
again, I think we're close to talking about what we think's gonna happen later. But just to wrap the season up, I did think like Luffy's showdown with Arlong was great. Like,
yeah,
like the classic him kicking his foot all the way to the top and bringing the entire building down. I mean,
no axe.
hell yeah! Of course the Nami's iconic moments in this arc too. Well done. Good stuff.
I think so. One of my favorite like moments in all of One Piece is like the one where like Nami's freaking out and like she like stabs her arm and stuff. And
bro, we didn't even talk about Luffy stabbing his eye. Sorry, that was funny.
oh yeah,
That was insane.
Yeah,
the way they
goofy.
shot
That was
that was crazy. Anyway,
everybody's like, oh my gosh.
anyway, continue.
No, I think while they didn't do it as well as they did in the manga, they did a good job. Like
Yeah.
like I think that the actress for Nami did really really well. And
Yo, Emily Rudd, man. Whew.
dang,
Listen.
I mean, dude, she like these last 2 episodes, she blew it out of the park.
Man.
Yeah, 100%.
Like
Yeah, she's
she
great.
she did really really well. But then just all of them it didn't feel as hype. Like for sure, but like even Oda said he's all like they did it well, and I agree.
That part in particular, when she's stabbing her arm, the live action, she sounded pretty much exactly the same as the Funimation dub in that scene. Like I was
Ew.
surprised at like how similar it was, like for the voice acting.
Yeah, I've seen that scene multiple times. There's like the original sub, and then there's the dub, and I've seen the sub version when they do. Sadly, gosh, they probably cut out that scene.
Bro, man.
Probably.
I wish Arlong said, like, you can't pay the cash out with the trash line. That would have been so good.
Dude, I was kind of upset that Belmere didn't do that thing where she like freaking jumps and sticks the rifle in Arlong's mouth, but I'm like, they can't do that. Buzz, like, you made a good point. It does sound pretty similar, which the Funimation version, like, there's not a bad version of that scene. It's kind of like the Azula moment of One Piece, like, just kind of like having that absolute mental breakdown.
Mm-hmm.
And so I like how they did it here. It didn't carry as much weight, especially because like Nami just like walks in with them like to Arlong Park.
Yeah. Now, of course, so like East Blue sort of wraps up in Logtown in the manga, and here it was sort of replaced with a scene we already talked about where Garp confronts Luffy again. And yeah, and I thought it was a really well done scene. It sort of like brought Garp's plot line, like they sort of crossed over and were able to conclude that. And I really liked the moment they had where Garp was like, my boy, get out of here, you scamp.
My boy.
Yeah.
My boy.
And I like how now people who are watching the show that have not read the story are also probably wondering who Luffy's father is too.
Good luck.
Just like more about his.
Dude, they're gonna have and Luffy meet like in live action. He's gonna be like, Dad?
In like season 2.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, that's also one thing that really confused. Maybe they'll open up in Logtown in the second
Maybe.
season.
I mean, that would be a good start because, like, so of course it shows them heading off to the Grand Line at the end, and then we get Smoker, a tease for Smoker. Now, Smoker, I think his introduction was in Logtown in the manga,
Yeah,
I believe.
it is.
Yeah. So, I
Yeah.
mean, it could be like, I mean, the next, like, season 2, episode 1 could have it start in Logtown, introduce Smoker, then have them go to the Grand Line. That's always the thing they could do.
That
Yeah,
would that would
that's what I
have
was
to make the most
thinking.
sense, just because Logetown is actually pretty important, just because of they've already teased Smoker, and so they're gonna have to show him. But also, that's where Zoro gets his 2 more swords,
Right.
because like the 2 other
Yeah.
like demon swords that he carries around for a long time.
Before we move on to speculation, I think just a general wrap-up of Season 1. You guys your thoughts overall?
I think that the only thing, which like, just with this much, again, I didn't expect it to be a one-to-one adaptation. If you did think that, you're bonkers, because there's no way that they were going to pack 95 chapters and 45 episodes into an 8-hour-long live-action episodes. You're just absolutely
Yeah.
insane. And, yeah, they cut out some stuff. They cut out the guy in the treasure chest. That sucks. Get over it. But... And so
No, not Gaimon, my favorite.
no, Gaimon, no. But I mean, the only thing that I think I have the most issue with, some of the acting's a little silly. Like, this is not a 10 out of 10 show.
No.
And, like, I'm
No.
comfortable with giving it like I would give it like probably like a 6 out of 10, maybe on a good day on a 7, which is just because
Really?
it's got a lot of weird pacing issues. It's really quick, but like, again, it's. Nobody's going this to like the main source material. People are just trying, like, this is more like they want to compliment people that have watched and know One Piece well.
To be fair,
They
a
want to honor
lot
that.
of people are getting into this as their first One Piece thing and are enjoying it as well. So
Yeah.
I would not say that is the proper way to do it.
yeah,
Like,
probably not. But
I would say that this is a good way of telling the story. Just like in translating it, it's just overall a good translation into live action. So like the 6-7 range, it's not in the uncanny valley. It's probably the best adaptation of an anime that we've ever had.
Yeah.
And I hope that it succeeds and like that we get a second
Yeah.
season.
I think the most like important thing they nailed was they really captured like the spirit of One Piece.
Correct.
Like, it felt like One Piece, basically. And
So would you say that the One Piece is real?
It
it
is.
may just be. It may just be.
Also, like, the beginning of One Piece is really charming, and like it's not campy, but it's like it has like a lot of charm to it, and so does the live action version. And so I think that's like something that was really important, and that it's like if nothing else, they did like that well.
Now, going forward, I have some thoughts. But to start, we'll say that this show is a massive hit already. It was number 1 in every single country that has Netflix when it came out, which actually is the record for that.
Yeah.
It is also, and in terms of watch time in its first few days, it's about like the 6th or 5th of all time on Netflix.
Yeah, isn't it the number 1 season 1 first weekend in watch time? I'm pretty sure.
I think that might go to Wednesday.
No,
but-
it beat Wednesday.
No, it beat Wednesday.
Oh, it did? Well,
Yeah.
shit. There we go. So yeah, this show, to say it's a massive hit is an understatement, so I think more seasons are, like, all but inevitable. So, of course, the question is, like, well, what happens next? I mean, obviously, Baroque Works would be, what they would do next.
I think they're gonna do a super quick Logtown, and then they're gonna move on to
So,
Baroque Works.
okay, just to dispel, like, some people's, like, I hate to burst people's bubbles, but this show is not going to get 15 seasons. It is not going to adapt every single arc of the manga, because that would be insane. Like, this is such a big production that, like, I think I would be surprised if it was, like, if it was less than, like, a 2-year wait between seasons, right? So, like, logistically, like, as big as this show might be, I really can't see it getting like 10 plus seasons, like maybe 6 or 7 max, right?
Yeah.
So of course then the question comes is like, well, how do you do it then? Because One Piece is much bigger than that. And I think for now, I think they're fine still just doing Baroque works in season 2. But I think, like, as it continues, what we're going to start seeing is more elements from later in the series start being introduced earlier. And then they'll sort of, because, like, the manga will also, like, likely be over before the show. So I think then, like, with them knowing what the actual ending is, then they'd be able to piece together a way to have that fit into the story at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, again, I mean, there's also, like, the longer that this show goes on, I would strongly not recommend, because somebody like made the joke being like, if they want to keep going this route and they want to do like a season for each arc, they're gonna get to Dressrosa, they're gonna get to Gear 4, and then what are you gonna have? They're gonna have Gear 4 full CGI, and it's like
I think, okay, here's my like realistic prediction. I think they're going to like follow the arcs up until Marineford, the Paramount War, but I think during this time they will be bringing in elements from later in the story, like maybe they'll introduce the emperors, maybe we'll see other characters show up, and I think they might turn Marineford into like the final climax of the show. And I don't really mind that, because I've already accepted that this show is not going to be a complete adaptation, and I think if they can find a way to make it work like that, I think that might be like the best we can hope for, really. So that's just my take on that.
Yeah, like I could see them like introducing Brooke in like season 2 and then like skipping Thriller Bark, doing like big things
hold
like
on.
that.
There's one more thing we have to talk about. So the thing about the Straw Hat Pirates is that the first 5 of them we get are all humans.
they're just dudes.
Yeah,
like they're just guys
course.
being
And
dudes.
the next one we get, Nico Robin, also just a dude, a lady. I'm kind of concerned about the others, though.
Yeah.
Well, pre time skip Frankie, would look a little goofy, but like he'd be fine. But like,
they could just do like a muscle suit or something.
So here's the thing: if they're gonna end at this is gonna I don't want to say anything that's gonna be like a massive spoiler, but like they have like Chopper and Brooke and
the one that joins way later. That I guess
the one that joins way later. I'm not gonna say. Is that all of them? I guess that is.
Yeah.
I guess we talked. Okay, so realistically, I think I would only be comfortable with One Piece getting like 5 seasons, and then like I don't know if they get to like Water 7, and then they're like they have like the Thousand Sunny, and then they're all like, and the journey continues, and then it ends. Like I'd be like, truthfully, I'd be cool with that. I don't think I'd like.
I don't know about that.
See, but I think Marineford would be like a really weird like place to end it.
I feel like if we just take Marineford from the manga, but I think like in the context of the show at that point, they would have brought in other elements and changed some things around to just make it work more. That's what the context like I'm thinking about it. But it's also possible that we get the final arc in the manga and they just do that in the show.
Which, like, I mean, if we're banking off of this, it took them 8 episodes to adapt 10 volumes. I guess that like 6 seasons could like do it, and like you'd be fine. But I mean, that's a lot packed in to that.
Yeah.
And
but again,
I think if we're thinking a small scale, like I just want to look to season 2. I don't want to think big scale because it's like I don't know.
And I think season 2, like the one good thing we know that seems guaranteed from how good the show's doing is that it's going to get a much bigger budget for season 2. Which I think
it already had a
hopefully
huge
it does.
budget already.
But I think it needs a bigger budget because, like, if you're going to do Chopper and you're going to do, like, the scale of Alabasta, like, while the show, I think, did a good job with its CGI and stuff, like, there were definitely cracks showing. So I think, a more reinforced budget, like, to have, like, Chopper and make him look good, you're gonna need that. And but yeah, no, but I just think season 1 was so good in the right parts it needed to be, and I love the cast so much. Like, I am very excited to see what they do next.
Yeah, I would think that, like, I think that next season should be like 10 episodes. I think that
that 10... would also be that would also probably be a good move, honestly.
Yeah, I just think like Alabasta, like the whole Baroque Works arc is just like a little bit longer than
East Blue.
Like Baroque Work, yeah, but like if they're doing it, because the islands that they went to during this season weren't super long anyways, but Alabasta, like they're in Alabasta from volume, I'm looking right now, from volume 18 to 23. So the other 5 volumes, they're just like at Little Garden and Drum Island and that Cactus Island and like places like that. So it's like they could breeze through in one episode, just kind of like how they did it like here, which I'd be fine with. But I think that they'll start out in Logtown, whatever. They'll do like the dragon tease and Smoker, and then Zoro gets his swords. And I think at the end of the episode, they're gonna meet Laboon, and then the episode ends, and they're at like the Cactus one. Then the next episode starts, where Zoro is like it ends right when Zoro's about to fight all the assassins.
Wow, Shrug. Netflix should hire you, considering they don't have any writers at the moment.
True.
Guys, I'm just saying, he made a good point.
And then Frankie saves the day.
Yes, and then Frankie shows up. Actually, Brooke reunites with Laboon. And
bro, they're good. Yeah. I hope season 2 ends with like a big mom tease. That would be epic.
I would be they're gonna tease Eneru, and they're gonna like go up like you know how this season ended with like the One Piece and like the sky. Yeah, they're going to do that again, but they're going to keep flying up and up and up, and then they're going to see Eneru.
It'll just be like, wait until they get a load of me. He'll like be holding Luffy's wanted poster and just like shock it with lightning.
Oh no!
I just don't think, like you said, I would not like this show to go long term, and personally, I don't want them to get to New World. Like, I want this to, like, heck, even if it gets 3 seasons and they just, like, cap it off and they're just all, like...
Because that's something I'm kind of worried about. Like, if they do really intend to stick to the manga, the show will end before they can finish it. Like, as popular as it is. I mean, so, like, realistically, again, hate to burst bubbles, we're not going to get season 2 until 2025, right? And if they stay on...
especially with all the strikes
Yeah,
going on.
and if they stay on that production, I mean, think about it. 5 seasons is like 8 years, right? Like, I'm worried that if they stick to the manga closely and don't, like, build up to an ending, we're going to be, like, at season 7, they're going to be, like, doing Fishman Island, and the show will get canceled. Right?
Well, 40-year-old Nami, let's go.
Well, that's also the thing. I mean, like, Luffy's gonna be, like, almost 30 by season 5, so, like, you know.
No, frankly, I think that, you know, just to make up with it, all them looking older, they should just do the time skip anyways.
Well, that could also be
Early
something
time
that
skip,
they,
let's
like,
go.
introduce into the story at a different part, you know? You know, I'm fine with them just picking stuff from later, as long as they can, like, incorporate it well, sort of like they did with the Kobe and Garp stuff, so, you know.
Yeah, I hope that they get to Thriller Bark and they realize we don't have to adapt anymore. This is the best part.
They get to Thriller Bark, and then they like re-edit the show, so when you go onto Netflix, it's like season 5 plays first, because it's Thriller Bark.
No, dude, I like thinking, what if, like, if the show, like, actually just gets, like, better and better, and, like, people are sitting there like, wow, Thriller Bark was the best season we've had yet, guys.
That would be great.
I would have so many people coming at me in the comments.
Gosh.
Now, of course, it is always, you know, you never know. They could actually get 15 seasons. So, you know what? It's possible. Who knows?
Yeah. You never know.
like Oda didn't expect the manga to go this long.
Yeah,
maybe they'll
literally.
be the same
Yeah,
way.
this could like set a new standard. Like we could be here. We'll be like on Manga Alert season like 20, probably longer than that. Season 30. We'll be like, hey guys, you catch the Wano? Did you catch season 15?
You catch the Wano on the tube tonight.
Oh, we'll be in the nursing home.
Season 15, Wano Act 2. Like,
Yeah, you see Gear 5.
bro, Gear 5. Imagine Gear 5 in live action. What the fuck?
Bro.
Looking like the Mask type shit.
Because we've crossed the hour threshold, I'll just say, I hope the series at least gets to a second season. Now,
Well, it will.
there is
Yeah,
the
I
chance.
think that's guaranteed at this point.
Yes, and me too. I just think at this point, I'm very content with it, and I hope that it stays to this level of quality, or just gets better. And I hope that I know that my roommate also said he goes, just because like this did really well, that means that they're gonna be more live action
yeah.
anime adaptations.
The monkey's
No.
the monkey's
which
paw
is-
curls.
which is like, that is something that is like, I have to play devil's advocate and realize it's like, oh, this is really like the only one that people have really positively received.
We just saw this. We just saw the Barbie movie come out, and now Mattel is turning literally every single toy into a movie. It's gonna be the
Magic
exact
8
same
Ball
thing.
the movie. Let's go.
God, like they're gonna fast track that My Hero movie, and I'm not looking forward to it.
all I know
Oh my
is
gosh.
this was good, and I hope I just wish them all the best. And I hope that it continues to do well, and I hope that this is like the precedent that is set for the future, like for like.
Well, that's
any,
the other thing
yeah.
too. If there are gonna be more, which is inevitable, at least maybe this will convince people that they should probably be good. I think what One Piece also showed us is that it doesn't really matter what the subject matter is, as long as you like do it in a good way, right? Like, because they pulled off One Piece, I feel like they can pull off almost anything if they like actually like care about it. Right?
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Like it's like it could be super goofy. It's like also you just have to have a lot of love to it, and that's like
Yeah.
one thing. Like they kept the charm with this show, but also like they just had a group of people that just really liked One Piece.
Yeah.
And it just shows. Because like all the little details, they just really love One Piece.
Yeah, like
and
there's a ton of references to stuff that happens later, and like Easter eggs. I saw Foxy had a wanted poster in the background. Like, like you can tell they genuinely cared and loved the series. So
Yeah, I was watching like one of those cast interviews videos earlier today, and it seems like all the people in the main 5 actually already liked One Piece
yeah, it's actually fun.
and like
The guy
read the manga or watched the anime.
It's funny to think about. The guy playing Luffy, the manga had already been going for like 6 years when he was born.
wait,
Bruh.
hold on. How old is he?
He's 20.
He's younger than I am?
Yep.
Gosh, dude.
Reality check, shrug. You could have been Luffy.
I could
in
have
One
been
Piece.
Luffy. He
Where-
could have
Could have
been.
been
Where did
me.
it go wrong?
He just like me for real.
You could have been Kobe or someone.
Dude, Buzz, listen. How about this? Next season, you audition for Sanji, and I'm Luffy.
Why would they change the... whatever.
Why would they recast?
Let me have my moment. Shut your mouth, Gear.
All right. Thank you all
Next
so
time,
much.
I'm gonna be king of the pirates.
Yes, thank you all.
Bro.
Thank you all for watching.
Sanji was really hot in this season.
Fair.
Agreed.
Anyway, thank you all for listening to Manga Alert Season 7. We will be back at some point. I will have read the manga by then. I will have finished Land of the Lustrous, I promise. I promise. I've been trying to read it all summer, but I promise I will actually read it.
Guys, Manga Alert Season 7, we're coming back. We're going to have more guests
Let's
this
go.
season.
We-
We're going to talk about more manga. We're going to make sure that Gear gives us his unadulterated and unfiltered thoughts on how Thriller
Politics.
Bark is really good. And we're also...
Shrug, do you
We're
remember?
go-
Shrug, do you remember our bet that we made at the end of last season?
What was the bet?
It said I would read all of Fire Force if you read The Way of Kings.
Well, now that I'm back from the woods, the bet continues on. Ladies and
Let's
gentlemen,
go.
we'll get back to you.
Well, I mean, it's your call. You're the one who's gotta do it.
I must know that Gear's gonna read Fire Force.
All right.
Hey, if this podcast
I need
gets
that Fire
100
Force
likes,
video
I will
here.
send Gear all of my entire series of Fire Force for him to read.
But I'm not gonna read it unless you read The Way of Kings.
100 likes. That's what we need.
We're not gonna do it.
We're getting 100 likes. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. I can't wait for the rest of this season. And don't forget, the One Piece is real. Goodbye.
And though I traveled far from where my search began, over seas of green and shores of sand, through the endless, everlasting world out there, I know that with this burning passion driving me,